Skydance media deal talks dead. The 3 leading Paramount Global offices of the CEO said they remain focused on cost-cutting and growth plans for the media conglomerate as a standalone entity. Now, if you don't know, and we've been telling you, so you should know, that trio consists of George Cheeks, who's the president and CEO of CBS, Chris McCarthy, who's the president and CEO of Showtime/MTV Entertainment Studios and Paramount Media Networks, and Brian Robbins, won't be for long, I don't think, is President and Chief Executive Officer of Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon. Now, they addressed the current situation in a company-wide memo earlier this week. On Tuesday, Shari, Redstone's National Amusements, the controlling shareholder, of course, of Paramount Global, said it did indeed end merger talks with Skydance because it was unable to, quote, reach mutually acceptable terms regarding the potential transaction with Skydance Media for the acquisition of a controlling stake in National Amusements. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I think maybe the smart move is what this trio is planning. I think just fuck National Amusements. I think a National Amusements should just spin off Paramount as its own company. Let them try to go for it. Let them either swim or sink as their own company. Don't try to, keep it with National Amusements. Don't try to spin it off as another company here. I think Paramount's best chance to survive as a studio and be the company that we know and love is to go independent and just go for it, because I think all this other bullshit is just it's dangerous. I think you still got Sony in the mix who's basically said if they get it, they're just selling off Paramount lot and they don't even want to keep it. So I just think I think the best move is what these guys are doing is trying to hey, let us just go solo and work on trying to get this shit done.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, 2 things that you just said that I want to address is the lot thing. I think what their plans to do, and I heard this from a rumor report that from the town circulating in Hollywood, that they'd sell off the lot, but then they would lease it back to where they would still have control or rent the lot for themselves. And then the second thing is, I think, and personally I think, they're waiting to see what happens with the presidential election to see what the DOJ will approve and not approve, to see if they will have to go forth after something like this or a sale would happen. So, I mean, if Trump does get elected, we all know Shari has backed him before, so maybe that will in turn help her down the line. Or if she doesn't get elected, then she'll just shred it and sell it for parts, even though she said multiple times she doesn't want to do that. But I mean, she's not predictable at all right now, and from what I've heard, she is very, the last person in her ear is the person she listens to the most. So whoever gets to her last, I mean, is the person who's influencing her the most. So she doesn't sound like she really has a plan, and she's just kind of listening to a whole lot of different outsourced people. And a very interesting theory, I forget his name, but there's a board member who's been on the Paramount Global board since when her daddy was running it, way back when, going through since the early 90s or something, who stayed around for so long. And the theory is that he's going to take the position of CEO to knock out all of these other CEOs and to try to take control. But who knows? Because that could be a short-term gig, because if the sale does happen, he's probably not even going to have that job at the end of the day. Yeah. So there's so many different theories, and I feel like this whole situation is just a tornado, a hurricane, where the Wicked Witch of the West, who is Shari, doesn't know what she's going to do.
She wants money. That's what I think. She's trying to hold out for the best possible way for her to make the most money. She doesn't give a shit about what happens to any of the stuff. She says she doesn't want to break it up, but she said the same thing about CBS. She went into this, remember when her and Les Moonves got into this big back and forth because Les wanted to keep CBS separate, and she was like, no, we're merging them back together. They were once together. We're bringing them back together. And then she brought them back together and then fucking the whole time tried to get rid of Bob Backus from, because he was a CBS guy. And it's like she could have cared less about actually keeping CBS. I think she just did it to piss off Les Moonves, which I don't give a fuck about Les, because we all know Les. But I'm agreeing with you that I think she's just she's only out for herself. She doesn't give a fuck what happens to anybody else or anything else involved with what National Amusement owns or what Paramount owns, and that's always dangerous. I just think, just...
And I feel like this is another prediction, so maybe when we do our 2025 predictions, I'll say this again. I think in less than 5 years, Paramount Plus won't be around. I just think nobody's paying enough attention to it. Nobody talks about it enough, other than the Taylor Sheridan shows. What's it got? I feel like it's going to be divvied up and licensed out. So
you think you think they'll license all those shows? Because they do have hit shows. They have a lot of hit shows on Paramount Plus. So
I just don't think people are not going home and watching Paramount Plus. They're not. I just feel like, it's not marketed well, and let's be honest about it. The app is glitchy as shit if it's an independent app, and then even if it's through Apple TV Plus, where you have to go into their app and get to that one, it's kind of a hassle just to get through. So, it's going to be interesting. But like I said, in 5 years, Paramount Plus will not be around.
Well, I'm watching it, so they better keep the shows and put them somewhere where I can keep watching them. Because I like the shows. Mayor of Kingstown, Jeremy Renner's fucking slaying, bro. If they get rid of that, I'm going to be pissed. So if you're going to get rid of your streamer, at least license your shit somewhere else so I can keep watching it. That's all I'm saying, okay? All the Star Trek stuff, where am I going to watch it? Fucking put it somewhere. I'm just saying.
Right.
Like fucking idiots.
Exactly.